From Parliament, we can talk about other things too that the minority have been raising today. They've cast doubt on the viability of the revived KOMENDA sugar factory to operate to its maximum capacity. The factory, which was first established by Ghana's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, has been commissioned once more. The president has put in a lot of work, built almost a new one, and is expected to generate thousands of jobs and help cut down on the importation of sugar into the country. Addressing a news conference in Parliament this morning, the minority spokesperson on Trade and Industry, Professor Jan Bafo, says the siting of the facility very close to the sea, polluted rivers expected to serve as irrigation for the farms, and other challenges will seriously affect the fortunes of the factory.
May 30th, 2016, President John Dramani Mahama commissioned the rehabilitated KOMENDA sugar factory. Over the past 3 years, the country has been spending in excess of $200 million every year on sugar importation. And as the president alluded to, the 1,200 tons capacity new factory will, bearing any unforeseen mishaps, will contribute to our national development effort. It will reduce the nation's import bill on sugar, create employment opportunities for the rural communities through direct employment in the factory and on the outgrower farms. In essence, the revamping of the factory gives meaning to adding value to agricultural raw materials, has the potential to reduce pressure on foreign exchange resulting from imports, and provide jobs. In this regard, the minority reiterates our support to revamp such industries instead of giving them away for a song, as has been the track record of the NDC whenever they find themselves in power. The challenges that resulted in the collapse of the KOMENDA sugar factory of old still exist and need to be dealt with, otherwise this laudably revamped project will suffer a similar fate. So let me share with you the challenges. First, the siting of the factory is still not too far from the sea, and this could lead to expensive maintenance costs on the iron and steel components of the plant due to the salty sea breeze. This happened to the old plant, and maintenance exacted a huge toll on the profitability of the factory. In those times, the plant had to be shut down every year to allow for the extraction of corroded matter from steel pipes. The factory ought to have been located a bit further from the coastline. Second, the diversion of farmlands from the production of multi-crop to monocrop sugarcane presents a possibility of food insecurity in the area, especially given the fact that the new factory is 25% bigger than the old. President Mahama at the commissioning of the revamped factory said government is in the process of developing a new national sugar policy. And that is typical of the John Mahama-led government. The case of always placing the cart before the horse. It happened in the hasty crafting of the Petroleum Revenue Management Act, where, as of yet, a petroleum exploration and production law, which the Revenue Management Act ought to have mounted on, has not been put in place. So here you are, you are building the factory before you come out with a national sugar policy. Third, sugarcane farming is a water-dependent activity. The production process also requires adequate and regular supply of water. Reliance on the Galamsey polluted Pra-Ofin River will challenge the survival of the factory, as the mercury-poisoned waters may contaminate the end product. Again, adequate irrigation of outgrower farms will determine the yield per acre and the sustenance of interest of the farmers, hence the profitability and life of the factory. The primary canal to feed the farms with irrigation water from the Pra River has long collapsed. It has not yet been rehabilitated. How are the farms going to be irrigated? If the yield should fall, or if the world sugar price should fall, farmers will require financial protection to keep the industry working. In this regard, the start-off offer of 60 Ghana cedis per ton is too low to sustain the interest of farmers in the business. These are early days, but we need to get the basics right at this early stage. This situation has happened in such sugar-producing countries as Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, insufficient or irregular supply of cane sugar from the outgrower farmers could jeopardize the capacity of the factory to engage in uninterrupted production. As at the time of the commissioning of the factory, that is on Monday, May 30th, 2016, the factory was and still is far from ready to start production, since the outgrower farms are not ready. Running a sugar plant is like running an oil refinery or an aluminium manufacturing industry. Once it is started, it must be kept running. Otherwise, it becomes an expensive white elephant which will keep gulping down colossal expenditure where there is no production. And the question is, what was this razzmatazz about, if not to serve as a mere propaganda gimmick by the president, who seems to think that governance is about media blitz? Ladies and gentlemen, it is significant to note the appeal made by the Omahine of KOMENDA, Nana Kwadwo Kru II, at the commissioning. He called on the government to construct functional irrigation systems to sustain the farms to feed the factory.